Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of 5 Idiots Talking Toys. This is episode number 6, and we're going to talk today about the journey of collecting, starting a collection from scratch. We're also going to talk about venturing into other areas of collecting, such as graded figures and baggies and things of that nature. John, we have a special guest today. Can I throw it over to you? Tell us, who do we have?
Yeah, absolutely. We have Joey the Padawan Collector. Some of you may know him from YouTube already. He's gaining some traction there for sure, and he's basically filming his journey along the way of collecting the entire run of loose Star Wars action figures, so vintage Star Wars action figures. So we're really happy to have him on tonight. Hey Joey, how's it going?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's been I've been buying figures from you guys and talking figures with you guys for a long time, so it's great to finally be on the show with you guys talking about collecting.
Yeah, it's great to have you. We appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and actually, you guys have saved me a lot of times, because there's been some times where I bought some repro figures, and I actually thought I was overpaying for figures on other sites like eBay and stuff like that for even less quality. So it was great to get hold of you guys, because you guys were selling me some great figures at not expensive prices. I thought they were fair prices compared to what other people were selling for. So thanks for hooking me up with some great deals.
Yep, anytime.
Yeah. But
so tell us a little bit about your journey. Now, is this something that's new, or did you collect when you were younger, or is this?
So when I was younger, my parents bought me what they can buy me, right? It's like they would buy me for like Christmas, I would get something. For my birthday, I would get something. It wasn't like every time we went to the store, they'd buy me a figure, or every time that I would say, hey, can I have this? It wasn't really like that at all, right? I never really asked for toys. I love Star Wars, and my first introduction to Star Wars was the books, the follow along books, right? The ones where R2D2 beeps and you turn the pages. And my first memory of seeing a Star Wars film was 1983 when The Return of the Jedi came out. And after that, I was just hooked, right? I don't remember going to see Empire Strikes Back. I was only maybe 4 years old. So my first experience was Jedi. And then after that, I was hooked on the figures. I was hooked on like the storytelling aspect of it. I would go and create like new adventures with them, right? It's like, we're all kids playing with our toys and making stories with, like, I had a whole extended universe, man. Like, I was already writing the extended universe a long time ago when I was playing with my figures. But I think fast forward to high school, they all sat on the shelf, not played with. Fast forward to college, when I finally moved out, I was like, I'm going to take my figures with me. And then when I started earning money on my own in college, I was like going to my local comic book shops and just buying a figure that I remember when I was a kid, right? It wasn't in my mind to say, I'm going to collect the first 12. I didn't even do research on how many figures there were, right? I remember the card backs, but I never saw a card back, like a mint on card, in a comic book shop for years and years and years, until maybe like 5 years ago is the first time I saw a mint on card actually for sale inside a vintage toy shop. Because here in San Diego, there weren't that many. There weren't that many vintage toy shops. It was mostly comic book shops that sold modern toys, hardly any vintage. And if they did, they sold loose, and they sold nothing in the box. It was all loose and stuff like that. So really it starts in the pandemic, right? We're all in the pandemic now. I used to live in downtown San Diego, and I lived in a high rise. And honestly, when everything shut down, guys, I felt like I was in a hamster box. Everything was shut down. All the amenities shut down. Everything shut down downtown. I was working from home. I was like, I need to get out of here. So I moved out to the suburbs. And in doing that, I took everything out of storage, because I had a lot of room now to get a bigger place. So I took everything out of storage, pulled out my Star Wars toys. I started watching YouTube videos, because I think we were talking earlier off air. I wanted to see other people's collections, not because I wanted to start collecting, but I was like, it brought back nostalgia. So I went on YouTube to see other people's collections. They were doing their fantastic room tours and things like that. And then I started thinking, I want to see somebody collecting from scratch, but I couldn't find that anywhere. Like somebody starting and saying, all right, I'm going to collect all the Star Wars figures. Here's the research. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how much they cost. I never saw any of that. So I was like, you know what? I'm getting the bug. I've wanted to do this for a long time. I think now's the time. And then I said, I'm going to document it, mostly for fun for me, right? Because I'm a filmmaker already. Like I come from like a storytelling background. So I'm like, I think it would be fun for me. It would keep me accountable. It would keep me excited to kind of, it's like a documentary, right? You're watching like probably a 2-year, year and a half, maybe a year journey that this is going to take me to collect 107 figures, because that's what the variance is going to be, 107. So really, that's why I made the spreadsheet, because somebody told, I forgot who told me. It was somebody on YouTube. It was probably you guys I was listening to, said, before you start collecting, focus on your collection, right? Because I think I saw like the 10 mistakes that beginning collectors make. And one was you start collecting everything from every line, from every, like, you know, you pick up baggies, MOCs, loose, and, you know, whatever it was. And then, so it was focus on your collection. And I really took that to heart. But nobody ever said to create a spreadsheet. Nobody ever said to, though they said stay on budget, which we all know gets blown every month that we have a budget. So I said, all right, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to like treat it like a documentary, I'm going to set rules for myself. So rule number 1 was that I was going to focus my collection. And I also put a rule in place that I'm not going to introduce any reproduction. No figures, no accessories, no weapons. It all has to be out of the bubble, right? If it didn't come in the bubble, I'm not collecting it. Like the backpacks and whatever that didn't come with the figure, I'm not collecting those. So that's why for the last 17, it came with the bubble. I got to get the coin, right? Those are just the rules that I set. And I think it's cool because it keeps me accountable, and it keeps the audience accountable to me, saying, well, you said you're going to collect the coins. Where the coins at, right? So it just keeps me accountable. And then also, I had to pull anything that I could from my old collection, but it had to be complete. So everything that was complete, like I had a complete Greedo, you know, I think I pulled 5 figures out that were complete. And the rest, if they weren't complete, I had to buy a weapon for it before I can introduce it in my collection, right? So that was a rule too. And then an unwritten rule that I made for myself was that if I mess up, if I buy a figure off air that has a reproduction, I can't sneak it in and be like, yeah, look what I got. I got a yak face and it has a real weapon when it's actually a reproduction. I can't do that. So if I find out that it's a reproduction, I have to replace it. I can still keep the figure. I just can't keep the accessories. So, but that's the story though. That's the story.
Joey, I want to rib you a little bit, because I want to tell you picked the worst time, you know, of recent history to start collecting vintage Star Wars figures. But it just happens to be the case that the reason that you started, that you just described, the timing that you started, just, I mean, there's just thousands of other people that are doing the same thing you're doing. They're sitting around, they have extra time, they're stuck at home, they're looking for a new hobby. And that's kind of why you started, to, you know, just kind of fill some desire to have that enjoyment again, that nostalgia. And the prices are just, you know, have skyrocketed. We kind of feel like they're plateauing now. They're maybe coming down even a tick, but yeah, it's an expensive hobby, right?
Yeah, it was during the research phase, right? Because I know how much going into comic book stores and seeing, you know, quote unquote, the regular figures, right? Like if you're gonna go buy like an 88 right now, it's like what, $10? Those are the prices I was used to seeing in my comic book shops, right? Loose, no weapon, probably. Like, you know, I didn't know that that some figures had extra accessories like Bib Fortuna and I'm used to seeing him just with a coat and a staff. That's it. But I was used to seeing $10 figures, $15 figures at comic book shops, but really doing the research on, you know, what a mint figure costs, right? Like you're averaging like $40 a figure, right? You're averaging like $40 a figure in today's prices. And then when I finally started researching the last 17, or even, you know, I put the R2 Droid Factory thing on my list, you know, average price on that is like 130, 120, you know, for a good looking figure, right? I can buy a beater for 50 or 60 that has you know, the legs won't connect or anything like that. There's no sticker on it. but I don't want to go that route if I'm going to keep this for longevity, you know.
Well, let me ask you, what is your cutoff? What is your minimum quality level that you're willing to put in your loose collection?
I think 60, really, like 60, right? I don't want, like, I was thinking about buying a EV99 that had an arm that was detached, right? I can just stick it on and it'd be fine, right? But so I think that's where I'm drawing the line. I'm like, if they're at least a 60 or 70, I think I'd want to do that.
But
right?
that's an extreme case, though. I mean, Eevee is just such an expensive figure. I'm assuming that, if correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming that level probably varies a little bit. For example, if you did need to get a Greedo or you needed to get, you know, an Akbar or something like that, you're looking for a pretty nice one. I mean, right? Because it's a matter of, you know, $10 difference.
Well, then let's say, you know, I just reintroduced my C3PO back into my collection, right? Before I said, forget about it. He's like a wet noodle. Like that dude would not, he was like this, right? Would not even stand up, man. So that's why I was like, no, I'm not going to put him in. But then the more I'm buying, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to put him in. He's fine. You know, that dude he's still golden. He's still shiny. I'll just put like a stick in his back and like keep him up like a scarecrow, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
you know what?
I'm
That's got a name. That's at minimum. That's called a placeholder. Right now,
yeah.
if that's your childhood C3PO, I wish that I had any of my childhood figures. So if I, you know, if I was you, I mean, I would just love to have that in my lineup because it was mine. But
Yeah,
in terms of quality, just finding, yeah, placeholders, there's nothing wrong with that, man. You know, that's part of the hunt because you fill a hole. And then you have the fun of still looking, you know, out of the corner of your eye while you're looking for things you need. You find a gorgeous C3PO, you know, jackpot.
Yeah, and you mentioned Akbar. Like when I still have my childhood Akbar. And really, what's Akbar good for, right? He stands there and barks orders like when you're playing with him, right? So my Akbar, I never played with him, man. He was like just sitting there getting like barking orders at my characters. So I have a really good Akbar, and I'm just going to go on a weapons lot. And for an Akbar, I've been finding ones for like $7, $10 for a staff. Not that expensive, right? For an Akbar staff, at least right now.
Yeah, that's a really good price for that.
Yeah.
This week, yeah.
So yeah, before I was like, oh, if they have a scratch, I'm not going to put them in. And now it's like, if they're going to be displayed and I'm going to go on a grade run anyway, hell yeah, my C3PO is going in. You know, if it's going to save me like $30, even $20. When dude, this stuff adds up over time, right? $20 is $20, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Joey, have you gotten the itch to start collecting variants yet? And if so, when will your collection end? Because the disease that we all have knows that there is no end in sight, that we have to collect every variant and Lily Letty or Uze or whatever figures and go down that rabbit hole. Once you've gotten all your figures that you want, is that it? Or are you going to continue with variations?
Well, there's the 97, right? What we consider the 97 is, and then when I was doing the research on what am I going to include in my run, I only included about, I think, 7 variants, right? So it was the big head Han, little head Han, the Jawas, the Snaggletooths, which I don't really consider a variant, but I can, you know, they're variants because they're both Snaggletooths. So like those 3, I included the smiling and the non-smiling Lando, just because I used to have a smiling Lando. So I was like, all right, I'll get those as a variant, and I'm probably missing them, but there's not that many, right?
Obi-Wan.
No. Oh, the Yodas. I anything that I found interesting, I said I'm gonna do as a variant. So I didn't find the Farm Boy interesting. I didn't find all the Leia Organa in the Bespin interesting. Not even the Bens or like the Vaders. I took out the double telescoping right away. I was like, there's no way I'm going to go down that rabbit hole because that's way too expensive, right? So I remember I had in my original list, I had 3 Lukes. I had 2 Darth Vaders because of the double telescoping and the brown hair and whatever. I even had the white hair Ben in for a split second. And I was like, dude, this is going to be way too hard and way too expensive, right? And I actually want to accomplish this, right? So that's why I kind of left in the vinyl cape. because I also want to make it fun for the viewers too, right? And fun means people spending more money on stuff and having more drama about it, because there's more drama with me actually looking for stuff than there is me actually buying it, right? It's like I've been on so many auctions right now. I've been on so many eBay pages, and I've been recording it to where I look at prices. I might lose some bids, even auctions over in the Facebook groups, whatever. I've lost auctions where it was like a blue snaggletooth or a yak face, you know, like stuff I'm actually trying to get. That's more drama, and people kind of want to see that, I think, than me just playing it safe and saying, all right, I'm not going to include the vinyl Cape Java, but I'll include the cloth one. I think it's more fun for me too, right? I got to have stuff that I'm putting money aside for, because every month I'm putting like $100 aside when I finally do get that vinyl Cape. And if it pops up, boom, it's like, all right, I have 500 in my reserve. I can take 500 out and buy it for 1,000, you know, if it ever comes up. But that's my mentality right now, you know, is like, make it exciting for them and make it exciting for me too. Like, don't play it safe. I think play it responsibly safe, but also I want to accomplish a goal, and I wanted to make it like financially, like, you know, accessible for me to reach that goal.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just dive head first into this, and we see it all the time on these groups and stuff, where people just dive head first into collecting everything, and then the next thing you know, a couple days later, you see some posts up on different Facebook groups of them selling some stuff. So I think we've all been there too. We get excited.
Oh yeah, we've all done it.
And we, you know, definitely. And we get stuff and we're like, why did I buy that? And then turn around and sell it and stuff. But
well, that's what you saw in my early episodes. And there's a couple more episodes like that where I would buy 5 figures at a time on eBay, and I wouldn't care. They were just like $20 for a figure, sure, but then you get them back and like one's repro, you know, or the weapons repro. That's why it was so cheap, you know. So I did start out like guns a-blazing, saying, you know, like. Then I go back a week later, buy. And the figures that I was buying at first, I wasn't happy with. So actually going back and thinking, well, should I just sell some in a lot and then get the ones I really want? You know, so there's some of that too. Or trade. I've been doing a lot of trades lately and things like that with figures that I wasn't really happy with, but somebody wants some beaters. So, you know, I might do a thing where I trade 2 figures and I pay $10 for something that I want, you know, something like that.
Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting too, the process of collecting, you know, you see it evolve because, you know, of your involvement in it. You know, you see, oh, I can trade.
Yeah.
You know, that becomes a discovery when you're collecting too. That's pretty cool. I didn't even realize that early on that people would actually want to trade. You know.
Well, I never had friends when I was younger who were into Star Wars. My friends were into Transformers, which I love Transformers. I think I only had like 2 in my possession, like Grimlock and somebody else. But none of my friends bought or their parents wouldn't buy them Star Wars toys. They would all buy them either G.I. Joes or they would buy Transformers. And my parents would just buy me Star Wars toys, right? So, and I had no friends to come over and play like Star Wars with me. It was either like they bring over their G.I. Joes and we have battles against like, you know, my Star Wars figures, and G.I. Joe would always win because G.I. Joe has all the nukes, right? We have like we have pew-pews and they have the nukes, and they have all the jets and stuff like that. So
John, do we have any sad music that we can overlay with this? Because this is an awful story. I had no friends I could play Star Wars with.
None. Zero, man. Zero.
I'm tearing up over here. Yeah, like I'm tearing up.
Yeah.
We'll find some sad music.
Yeah, I don't remember anybody bringing over, you know, a set and saying, hey, here, look what I got. So that's why I was kind of clueless about all the figures that were like Prune Face. When I heard that he existed, I was like, come on, who is this dude? You know?
Right up there.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I never knew he existed, man. I was like,
nobody did.
No one did.
I thought he was at a Jabba's palace, like right next to Squid Face, you know.
Everyone thinks he's actually like a bad character, like one of like the bad guys, and then everyone realizes like, wait, he's actually a good guy. Like,
but
no one really thinks that. No one
you
cares.
Exist.
I don't think anyone actually cares.
He saved Leia at the end. So.
Yeah, so that was yeah, man. So fast forward all these years, it was like you're right. Now is the worst time to get into it financially. You're right. And here's what I think. Let me know what you guys think about this, because I was just talking about this with one of my neighbors who is also a Star Wars collector. He collects Black Series though, but he was saying that it's going to get worse for us because of the Book of Mando, because of Ahsoka, and because of Kenobi. It's going to drive prices up even further, just like the Mandalorian did. And it hit us too, right? Because it just drives up collecting.
I think no matter what year you start, it's a bad time for you to collect.
Yeah.
It's been since it started.
Yeah.
There's actually a graph out there, and it shows that Star Wars goes up 5% every single year. If you average it out, it goes up 5% a year. It actually goes up more than stock markets and bank accounts in the bank and stuff. It's just like it's always going, always.
Well, and if you look back historically at the price increase over the years, and this is when I wasn't collecting, the only optimal time, the only dip was, I think, like in the early 90s, early to mid 90s. And, at the time there was new modern stuff coming out, but the time period before Power of the Force 2 came out, nobody was really buying the stuff. If you looked back at what the prices were then, if you were able to do that, you couldn't believe how cheap everything was. And mint on cards for $15, you know. But that's the thing. I mean, many of us are about the same age. Jedi was my first, movie in the theater as well. And, we were all in high school and going into college. We weren't collecting Star Wars then, I mean,
I
could have bought up the whole universe and been millionaires.
Yeah, somebody said that too. It's like they were like, by the time that we were making money, because I was in high school in the mid 90s and I had my first job. When we were getting our first jobs, $15, $25, that was half a paycheck sometimes for us. So we were like, do I want to spend half a paycheck for a toy? My parents would probably kill me. My girlfriend would kill me if she knew that I was spending half my money on toys. It's like, all my friends would look at me like saying, like, you're weird for spending all your money on, it was like that stuff probably played into it. And plus, it was like back then, $15-$20 was a lot of money, at least for me back then.
I love how you were worried at 14 years old what your girlfriend thought of you spending your money on toys. And now between the six of us, we don't even listen to our wives and spend all of our money on toys.
He's worried about his girlfriend getting mad.
This is a price.
My girlfriend would have left me if she would have known I was collecting toys. I think there's a bump up actually every time a new movie comes out. There's actually a bump in price. I noticed in 2015, I guess, for The Force Awakens, there was a big bump because nothing had come out since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And prices were what they were. And then when the new trilogy came out, you noticed a huge bump. And then now with Mando, everybody wants to collect all the Bobas and Book of Boba. So I don't know. I'm hoarding all the bounty hunters. I've got 2 drawers full of Bobas that I'm waiting to offload here pretty soon. But I'm just,
I
grabbing them all up.
I saw a Boba today, I think on your guys' site, that I was going to pull the trigger on, because I was like, if I'm going to get a graded Boba right now, I got to pull the trigger now, before that dang show comes out and drives up the prices sky high.
I do believe that it definitely correlates, though, to the quality of what's released, whether it's a movie or show, and how the crowd, how the public receives it. Because we did have the prequels, right? And that was when the first one came out, it was a whole new revival just because there hadn't been Star Wars in so long. But then you get to episode 2 and 3, and they weren't so popular at the time. And then with the new trilogy, again, it had been so long. J.J. Abrams puts out new material. And then with the second and third, they weren't quite as popular. They got a lot of, mixed reviews. But Mando is just universally loved, and it's so good that I think that's really helped skyrocket everything. And if the other shows are going to be that level, that quality, and the same people are overseeing them, get ready.
Yeah, it's the same. I think you're right. You're exactly right. The correlation of how well the general public receives the movie is how the pricing is going to go. Because I bought a ton of episode 1 Hasbro figures. I probably have all of them, right? In my bins, and they're the same price as they were when I bought them. They might have went up like $3, right? They might be worth $7 or $10 now. Maybe there's a couple of them that are reaching like the $50 ones. A couple of them though, ones that are rare that I have. But everything, like all the Ahsokas that I have, they skyrocketed. I have them all mint on card. Those skyrocketed like overnight. You know, I checked the pricings and I was like, are you kidding me? People are paying $250 for an Ahsoka. You know, that's insane.
Since The Mandalorian came out, I guess what Clone Wars was her debut, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then I think the I forget which one is worth $250, but it's a not the Rebels one. I forgot which one it is, but yeah, it's like, because if that show would have sucked, if Mando would have sucked, Ahsoka would have been $7 right now. Probably couldn't get rid of her, but because it's such a hit, everyone wants her. Everyone wants, you know, the prototype Boba. Everyone wants, you know.
And what is the show she's going to be really featured in coming up? I was reading it the other day, and I forget which of the shows, but you know, Rosario Dawson is all signed on and everything. What show is that?
It's her own show, Ahsoka.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I read that right.
So
so I mean, there you go. It's going to continue. I mean, she was awesome in The Mandalorian. So if you got the same writing, similar directors, similar showrunners.
Yeah. Now, if it jumps the shark and it's just complete crap, everything is going to go down. Like her prices will go down. It'll go back to normal, right? Where her figures are going to be finally worth $15 again, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's definitely, like, the popularity of the show, like you guys are talking about, does definitely have a direct correlation with the price.
Yep, there's the one. That's the one. That's the one right there.
Charles, say something.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the one right there.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, well, it graded it's even more, right?
Yeah, I got a 90 grade.
Yeah. So you're sitting at probably like what, like a 350 right there for that one?
Nah, it's worth like near 1,000.
Okay, then there you go. My price is way off, but yeah. It's like loose. The MOC loose or the carded. It's like what, 250 right now for somebody to buy it like that.
Oh, it's like
or is it more?
It's like 500 or 600.
Yeah. That's the one I have right there. But it's still mint.
I sold my 95 grade last week for $49.
Yeah.
For how much, Chris?
1,400.
Yeah, so I was so that's one thing too. I might sell some modern stuff to fund the my vintage stuff also, because I have a ton of Black Series. I have a ton, like, you know, those Ahsoka cards that you showed. I have a ton of the re-released Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi stuff, and some of that stuff is going up in value too.
Well, yeah, Shane actually sold one of his kids to help fund this.
Yeah, I used to have 3 kids. I only have 2 now. I mean, I hear he's doing well. I haven't checked.
It's economics, man. It's economics. Yeah.
Well, Charles keeps all of his stuff in a closet, but that Ahsoka, that lives under his pillow. He sleeps with it every night. So.
Yeah. So you were talking about displaying earlier. And I see that display behind you. I'm assuming that's a display that.
Yeah, it's only 2 days old. It hasn't even been. The characters aren't even in there yet. I still have to put the LEDs in there.
That is super sweet. I saw that first in one of the UK groups.
Yeah,
a bunch of years ago. There was a builder in Jabba's Palace or Jabba's Court, one of the UK groups, and I remember inquiring about it years ago, and they just wouldn't ship to the United States.
Yeah, here,
it's ridiculous to try to ship that. But now I guess there's some people building them. It's just gorgeous. Let me get a card real quick. I'll show you. Hold on. So this is from the builder. It says Joey, #2 in the United States. So I'm the second one. Wow. to get that case back there in the US. And the only reason why I'm #2 is because I wanted somebody else to be the guinea pig. You know, like I really wanted to know how it went with the shipping. I wanted to know if that guy, because that guy was on Facebook who was buying
one of these cases. And the guy's his name is Drew Tagg from Collector Displays. Great guy, and I'll tell you the story about him in a little while. But I wanted to make sure that when that guy got it, he was happy with it. So he posted him building it and putting the figures in there. And I asked him, like, how was everything? Like, how was the shipping? Did you get killed on taxes and dock fees? He's like, no, man. He was like, you basically taxes and the shipping fee, and that was it. And that's like, like regular shipping, right? You pay for the weight, regular shipping. So then that's when I contacted Drew, who sells these, and I was looking at other builders and sellers, but there's something about here's my philosophy, right? If something's going to be quality, you want it, right? But then you look at the human being behind who's building it, and that really sells me on stuff, right? So I saw that how we interacted with his own community, because he has his own little channel and Facebook group from people who buy from him, and but he also interacts with the Star Wars collecting community. Like he went to Echo Live, and that's where I saw him interact with a lot of people. And I asked a lot of people about him, and I talked to him. He's just a great dude, solid guy. And I was like, I'd rather buy from this guy than from somebody in the United States, right? So, and his prices actually beat people who were making this in the US too. So,
yeah, Joey, I was going to ask you, I don't know that you want to give specifics or whatnot, but and I know that there's a bunch of different builds, so it's going to vary, but I know that our listeners are going to have that question. Whether you want to give a specific number or not, what type of an investment is that? Because it's just such an attractive way to display the collection.
Yeah.
I think everybody would jump at the chance to have something like that.
Yeah. So right now, as of this recording that we're doing, it's $850 US. That's including shipping, including taxes. So
wow. Okay.
a lot of people that were building the same cases with the same quality, it was going to cost me about $1,600, not including taxes or shipping, right? So that's why I really went with Drew, because first he blew everybody out of the water that was making these in the US. His quality was great too. What you're not seeing right here, because I haven't installed them yet, are the LED lights. So the LEDs haven't been installed yet. So
now, do those come with it, or do you have to purchase LED strips?
No, they come with it. They come with it. I just haven't
Wow.
I haven't lined it up and then inserted them yet.
So that sounds fantastic. I've had this in the back of my mind. I didn't know if I would do the Detolf cases, which is what I think Christopher has behind him.
Yeah.
Now for his display, that just looks amazing because it's glass on acrylic on glass, and it just is so super clean. But I've had it in the back of my mind for years to look further into that. I'm just about finishing my first run. But knowing that that's the kind of investment you made, that's super attractive to me. Tell us about the different build choices that you had. And we don't have to make this a commercial for the cases, but with your journey with researching that and purchasing that, where did you land on how many slots there are? What number case is that? Yeah. Tell us about that.
So I did an episode, and if you're watching my channel, it's episode 7, I believe, where I went through my thought process on how I landed on that case, right? Because when you have it's not like I live in a studio and like nobody comes into my house or anything like that, right? So I was looking at displaying stuff with furniture that looked like it went in my house, but just reconforming it to make it a Star Wars display, right? And I think I go into that episode saying that I wanted like museum quality displays to display the figures that I was going to have, right? Even if, like loose. So I ended up landing on this type of case right here, just because I wanted it to be front and center, kind of like the figures. I wanted the display just to be as good as the figures, right? So I was like, yeah, man, I got to get one of these custom displays, because if I'm going to spend money on these figures, I want to kind of display them kind of proudly, right? Kind of like the figures have to go with the whole thing. That's why I like the whole card back thing and stuff like that. So when I finally researched it and got down to this company that I bought from, there's about, I'm going to say 10 different styles, 7 different for sure, that you can get, right? There's one that has only the first 12, There's ones that only have, Star Wars, or, you can separate them out by movie too. So it's like 29 for like Empire or something like that, right? With no variants, right? So for me, I had to get the one that I got the biggest case that he can ship, because there's even bigger cases. There's a case that has like enough for all the variants plus the creatures like Jabba, and all that stuff down there, like the Rancor. You can buy a huge case. The only thing is that as of this recording, it doesn't ship to the US. You can only buy that in the UK. But if you can reach out to them and see if that's the case. So, and when you buy from him in the UK, there's an option that people who live in UK have, where you can buy it pre-assembled, right? You can buy it like this and it comes like this. But for the US, he has to ship it kind of like IKEA style, where everything is disassembled and you just have to screw it in, right? I think that's the only way that you can get it to the US, is by doing that, because by not doing that, you risk things getting like bent or things getting like cracked or ruined. So he's like, for international shipping, I only do this because it's safer for both you and me, right? I think so. You have to call him and make sure that that's the case. But
yeah, and I have seen those cases you're speaking about. They, it is what it is. If you can't get it to the United States, but it is super cool.
They're huge cases, man.
At the bottom with the room for the Wampa and room for the Tauntaun and the Dewback.
Yeah,
Very cool.
How big is that case?
It's man, I forgot the dimensions. Like 36 by like 40, 50 something, 36 by 56, something like that. Yeah.
So what is the number? Where did you land at? Is there room for any variants? Is it just the straight run? What's the count?
So that case holds 99, and that's plus the Rebo band, right? So it's 99, and my final collection is going to be 107. So those platforms extend, and you could put the variants on the platforms.
In the front, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then let's say I have two R2s. There's a little acrylic where you can put a pedestal. That way they're not blocking each other. So you can have like one that kind of raises it higher to put one R2 up here and one R2 down there.
Sweet.
So you can do that. Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer for me. I was like, man, if I'm going to do this, and it's both for me, and it's both for, since I'm documenting this, like, how cool is it when I get a figure, I just turn around and say, boop, there he is. He's in our collection. And plus you can just see it right there, like right in back of me. Where is he at in his journey? Oh, just looking back, look over his shoulder. There it is right there.
But yeah, no, that case is actually awesome. This is what I was talking about before with preservation. And, people spend thousands of dollars on their collections, and then they spend $0 to display it properly.
Yeah, I knew I was going to get a dust-free case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew for sure I was going to get a dust-free case, no matter what it was. It was going to be dust-free. And that cover is a UV cover.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right, Chris. I have, you see the shelves behind me. You're right. We spend thousands of dollars on these figures, and no joke, these shelves behind me are a mix of IKEA and Target shelves, that I had to put together. They're $30 or $50 a piece. I bought them when I was collecting Black Series, and I wanted the shelves to be the right size to slot in the boxes. And, between all my other reasons, of getting out of modern, it was just a dust pit. I mean, I never would get around to dusting. They would have to be dusted every month, and it was just, they're just always kind of just a mess. And now I have the same shelves with loose stuff on it. And I'm just looking forward to a better solution, because you can't dust these figures easily. It's just a mess.
Well, you can watch my episode 7. I give some really good ideas.
That's a nice plug. Yeah.
Nice
sorry
plug there. There we go.
for the dirty plug, but
we'll definitely drop a link for your episode and, of course, for your channel. Definitely everybody should check out your journey.
I watch it. I'm on there every single week. Whenever he drops an episode, I watch it right away. I just enjoy watching.
What's funny is now I don't listen to music anymore when I work out. It's either I'm listening to auctions or podcasts about collecting toys, and because I think it gets my mind off the pain.
Yeah.
I want to get myself dying when I'm jogging around the neighborhood.
Yeah, I worked out for like 2.5 hours the other day because there was an auction and I didn't want to get off the treadmill because like I didn't want to leave the gym. So I'm like, all right, I'll just stay here. And when the auction's over, then I'll leave. So it's been a good thing then, right?
Yeah, Charles was listening to an auction of mine, and little did I know he was on the elliptical. And I started making a Greedo figure dance around, and he almost fell off the machine. He said,
But where do you guys? This is what I wanted to ask you too. Where do you buy most of the figures that you need now? Because I know that your collection is so focused, and now it's like you need certain figures, right, or certain accessories. Now I'm imagining. Like, where do you guys find the pieces that you want in your collection now?
I buy them from the groups. Just speaking for myself, I buy them from trusted trusted members of the group. It doesn't have to always be somebody who's classified as a seller. I mean, I think we've said multiple times, all 5 of us on this podcast are collector sellers. I mean, we're not just buying and selling toys. We're having them pass through our collection. But I'm at the point where I buy from trusted other collectors. They might be moving something through their collection. They may have, bought them at one point and they may be upgraded, or they got them in a lot. Just somebody that I'm familiar with, somebody that I've seen, good things about. I'm at the point where it's, you don't want to fool around just, praying and hoping that you're getting a decent figure with real weapons and whatnot.
Yeah, because I think we were talking off air about even some vintage toy shops that might have reproduction items in their sales lot. And
well, that makes sense because they it could be either or. It could be that they're doing it and they know they're doing it because they've got dozens of people walking in their shop every day and probably 90% of them won't know the difference.
Right.
Or it could be that simply they're a comic book shop or they're a toy shop and they know Star Wars, but they sell 17 other toy lines or just any vintage this or that, and they don't know the difference. They're selling you. They don't know that the Yoda cane is not real, or you got a Wicket spear and it's painted, and it's just an innocent thing because they're not trying to rip you off, but you've got to go through that journey of deciphering.
Yeah, because a lot of the times I'll ask for something like I'll go to the groups I trust and I'll ask for a weapon or I'll ask for a figure that I'm looking for it, and usually I don't like doing that because I get a lot of people, and I've had this happen to me. I get people who send me things that are repro, and I know that they're repro, and I'll just say, hey, no thanks, I found it already, but thanks anyway. I just don't want to say, hey, that you have a repro thing. Like, I don't want to get into that. Right. Maybe I should and say, hey, you better check out your weapon because I think it's repro.
If it's from a group, I definitely would. I would say, hey, man, just to let you know that's a repro blaster or whatever. They'll get offended, but it's better for them to get offended than to accidentally rip somebody off. I mean, which is a lot of times it is. There's a measure of pride among collectors too, that they know what's going on and they know that they don't have repro, and then when they get popped for it, then they get a little irritated. And I've had that happen to me before with some sellers where I was like, hey man, that's definitely not
right. Well, it's also weird because I'm advertising myself as a beginning collector, right? So it's like I get a lot of people, or I have got a lot of, it's gotten better now. Where in the beginning I had at least two people for sure would say, hey, I can bring you to good deals, but it's going to cost, this is what I would charge for this service. Telling you, protecting you from and this was in the beginning where I had people DM me.
What is this, the mob?
Okay.
Yeah, no, and this was for real. I'm not making this up.
Toy mafia.
Yeah. So that's why my guard was up. So every time someone would DM me with, hey, I'm selling this, I saw that you were looking for this, or I heard on your episode you were talking about this. So, and they would send me lists of things that they have. So
that's the problem, man, is you get all these people that as soon as you post something, you get all sorts of people out of the woodwork, you know,
Shady people.
like sharks start coming out of the water. I posted something a long time ago of a lot that I bought, and I was just looking for kind of like a quick value. And of course I got the typical standard, oh, check eBay sold listings. I'm like, okay, yeah, but this isn't on eBay, and I don't trust eBay because it's overinflated. So how about somebody tell me what the real price is? You know? And then I got a bunch of DMs like, oh, hey, let me know if you want to sell that. And I'm like, dude, I haven't even bought it yet. So
yeah, but the circle that I'm buying from, it's getting smaller and smaller. And I won't buy from somebody unless I recognize your name, right? And I'm starting to recognize a lot of names now because I either see other people selling to them or other people buying from them. So if I don't recognize your name, or if I have to, it's more along the lines as if really, if anything sounds shady, then I just say no, thank you. You know.
Yeah.
I don't
usually.
usually.
Yeah.
Welcome to
Usually,
the.
I don't buy figures anymore. From if I'm gonna buy them to collect for my own collection, I'm very, very picky about what I buy for my collection, because I mean, you can ask these guys. I walked around at ICC convention with. Hold on one sec. I walked around from ICC. I'm on daddy duty right now.
That's
my wife left me. You can ask these guys. I walked around the convention with a flashlight because the lighting was really bad, and I was like, I don't like buying figures where I get it home and I'm like, oh, it has hand rub or belt rub, and I didn't see it, you know. So I like to buy stuff in person for my own collection. I've gotten a lot of stuff from eBay and the IC where it shows up and I'm like, oh, this is what I bought. I'm like, this is awful. You know, I don't even want it, you know, but I'm super picky about my figures though. And I want it like perfect.
No. And as you should be. I think, you know, buying like quote unquote the regular figures, I am still picky, but if I'm not going to be mad about losing $20, I'm going to be pissed off about getting shady or getting shaded over something that costs $250.
Right. And that's not a knock on any group. I mean, we're in groups like the IC and, you know, just various other groups that, because we have a lot of people in there that we can trust. We've had tons of good transactions, both buying and selling and moving parts of our collection and trading. That just happens when you're buying online. Doesn't matter what group you're in, what format you're in, you're looking at pictures, photos, and it's all dependent on, you know, how well the photos are taken, what the lighting is. You'll see a bunch of people now that have purchased, you know, setups with lighting boxes so that when they do pass some things through their collection, they can take halfway decent photos with decent lighting, and you can actually see the quality of the figures better. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody does that. So when you buy online, that's kind of what goes along with it.
Yeah, and that's why when I've been, because I am researching actively all of the 17. I'm researching actively all the high price figures. So even like the 1977 Leia, you know, I consider her a high price to get a good version of her. I think you're going to spend about $80, $90 just for a good version of her. Am I right or am I wrong about that?
You're going to spend more than that.
Okay.
Yeah, a New Hope Leia.
Yeah, New Hope Leia.
Yeah, over 100.
Yeah. So
because the blaster will go for like 70, 80 plus.
Okay.
So you're talking about like $110, $120.
Yeah. So figures like that, right? Just not from the last 17, but figures like her, researching actively. So that way, when I do see something, I will feel more comfortable buying one and researching who's selling them, or just, I think what I'm doing is I'm getting a good database in my head over who I've seen more often and who I've seen other people that I know and I trust from the collector community buying from and selling to. So that way, like when they do put something up, I feel more comfortable buying from them like a claim, or if I put on an in search of, and I say I'm looking for this, and then they DM me, I'm more inclined to listen or ask for more photos from them and say, okay, like, let's do business. Can you send me some more photos instead of wasting somebody's time and I feel sketchy about it, you know?
Yeah, and that's a part of the hobby that never ends. You've got to stay on top of things to have that current database in your head. but it's ever changing, month to month, sometimes
Totally.
week to week, where the prices change on just certain given figures. And we had a kind of a funny conversation off there, Christopher and I. I mean, I put up a figure recently, and I just had a number in my head, and I was kind of on the high end, but even the low end number that I had was no longer valid. Like, it was literally from like 6 weeks ago, and the market changes, and I felt foolish. But you can't remember always the price of every figure, and it's my own fault for not doing that little bit of research beforehand, because I had a figure to sell. But you can't remember 100 figures off the top of your head any given week. It just changes.
Right.
I got it. Hit me with one right now.
Dude, what was that, Chris?
I said I got them all remembered. Just hit me with one.
Yeah, he's the volume. Chris is the volume leader of the group. He has to know all this stuff.
Yeah.
No,
It
but
also has to do with the fact that the market gets flooded with, Lumats.
Yeah, Chris likes to drop
Chris is also
17 of the same figure at the same time and just drive his little prices right to the floor.
300 Lumats out, and now the price goes down.
Is that your focus, the Lumat, Chris?
Lumat.
That's the selling focus.
What do you guys all have like a figure focuses, or is it you guys all do?
We pretty much do. Yeah, we've got John's a B-wing guy, Brandon's a Yoda guy, Chris is a prune guy, I'm a Leia Bausch guy, and Charles, he just collects the red bar of a broken down droid figure.
Yeah, I think if I had a focus, it would either be the TIE Fighter or the Imperial Gunner.
Nice, nice. Those are good ones.
Those are my focus. But another question I was going to ask you, and a lot of I think we talked earlier about a lot of my comments on my YouTube channel are about grading and ask me why I grade. Another one that is a really polarizing topic is the fact that I get a lot of comments saying that why don't you introduce repro? It's so much easier. It's so much like you can complete, and my simple answer is that because a lot of viewers say that I have to do repro because some live in Australia and the prices over there are a lot higher, and the access to weapons and stuff like that, or accessories, it's going to cost them a lot. So a lot of them have to do repro. So I was like, my simple answer is I have nothing against people using or doing repro or buying repro. The way that I set up my collection, that brings me enjoyment right now. Right. And that's my simple answer, is that I set up the rules so that way I can get the max enjoyment for myself. Because I think if I introduce repro, I wouldn't have that connection to it because it was from my childhood era. So that's my simple answer, is that I don't mind if anybody collects repro. I'm not against it. For this run for me, this is what's going to give me my max enjoyment, is if I go on the hunt and try to look for the actuals. That's my simple answer. But it's super polarizing because you can see the chat going on. You can see people, kind of like doing mini arguments about repro, non-repro. They're against it. They're for it, but that's really polarizing.
Yeah, I think that all of us collect, with the vintage accessories.
Yeah.
And I don't have if somebody else wants to collect with repro, that's fine. But I'm like you, and I think all of us are like that. If this is the way it came in the package in 1983 or 78 or 80 or whatever, that's what I want with my figure.
Right.
I do not want repro, not because I think it's a scourge on the earth or anything like that. That's just my opinion. I don't know about the other guys, but not that it's a scourge or anything. That's up to other people. It's fine.
Right. As long as nobody tries to pass off a vinyl cape for me, that's wrong. Right.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
I mean, if they pass it off as original, then definitely. Yeah. But if they say repro, I just stay away from it.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong. It did cross my mind for a split second of me buying a vinyl cape Jawa to put in my collection. But then I was like, well, is that really a vinyl cape Jawa? Well, no. In my mind, it'd be no. And every time I probably show my collection off to somebody walking in the house, I have to say, oh yeah, that one, it should be worth $1,000, but it's only worth $20. Right.
Right. And you have a channel going, you would have caught a lot of flack trying to collect repro and make a channel and a show out of that.
Right.
Going
Oh,
with
yeah.
vintage accessories, you won't get that flat. You won't catch that flack. So you made it a
Well-
little bit easier. It's harder to do, but you made an easier process for yourself.
Well, and that's why I think it's more drama, right? If I was gonna watch this and I was gonna say, oh, well, it's not really even if I was into repro and I saw a guy that was doing a collection, I would say, well, fine, he has the whole lot, but it's not the real thing. I would even
Right.
start picking that apart, right?
Right.
So I think it's a challenge both for myself, because it's not easy. It's not easy just buying a figure for $1,000 once you've done a full run, right? Because you're already in like, I don't even want to give a number, but if you're
Yeah,
in that, if you're in that deep, and all of a sudden the last one you need is that 1,000, then if that's my season finale, whatever this is called, then hell yeah, that's going to be a dope finale if I finally get that thing,
Well, let's hear
There's
from
some
everybody
people
that's
that-
watching too. Put it in the comments. What do you think about collecting repro weapons, accessories? How do you go about your collection? Let us know. Let's get some feedback on the episode of how you put your line together.
I talked to some people yesterday about, that very same thing. They're like, I'm not going to buy a yak face, a real one, because I can't afford it. And they're like, what's the big deal about, the whatever custom creations of, different people that make those? Like, what's so bad about that? And I'm like, well, whatever, if you can fill the hole in your collection with, a custom figure or whatever, that's fine. Everybody knows they're custom because it's stamped on the back. So I don't really see anything, teach their own.
Yeah.
So however you want to do it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go out of my way to say, oh, that's wrong. But dude, if you want to collect like that, then hell yeah. If that brings you joy to see your case full and you see the whole freaking 96, 97 in there, then hell yeah, right?
But be honest about it, though. I've seen people talk about this fairly recently. If that's what you want to do because you want to look at that on your shelf, you want to have that display behind you, and it just brings you joy to see that lineup done, you'd make that choice for yourself with your own collection. But be honest about it. I saw somebody recently saying, well, I only have those couple of modern reproduction figures, just for my kids to play with. I wasn't really serious about getting those. And it's like, all right, listen, I get the thing with getting modern figures, the cheaper Power of the Force 2, give them to your kids. Some of us do that. But don't tell me that you're buying a modern custom repro for $60, $80 a pop versus $600. And you're giving your kids an $80 figure to play with. I don't buy that either. Be honest with yourself.
And I think that's why in the show, I want to be really open about where I buy it from, how much I buy it from. So every figure on the show, I'll show myself buying it on eBay, or that's why I have at least some form of like documentation of a chat or a window. Like, when I buy off of your guys' sites, I'll show the claim window and I'll show like what I'm getting, and then I'll show me unboxing, and then I'll show me checking it off for how much it was. So I really kind of wanted to have a documentation of somebody to say, if somebody really wanted to research it, they can go back and they can say, oh no, he didn't buy this there. Like that was somebody else. Right. If they really wanted to do
bringing people through the journey with you, which is really cool. I mean, they can get to live that vicariously through you, whether have either done that themselves in the past, whether they're doing it now, or whether they want to see what that process is like. So very, very interesting.
And a lot of collectors who were collecting in the mid 90s and early 2000s were saying that, wow, are you really paying $40 or $80? Like I recently bought a Hoth Leia for $80, and I sent her to get engraded, but somebody was saying, oh my God, why did you spend that much money for a Hoth Leia? That's ridiculous. Because
the blaster goes for $45, $50. I mean, that's
yeah.
And what kind of condition it's in too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the blaster is, I was gonna just buy the blaster by itself, and then I was like, I'm not gonna spend like $40, $50 just for the blaster. I might as well just get a great figure and send it in for grading. Yeah. So I did, but I got the redhead Leia. I got the variant. Yeah.
So Joey, I think we're running out of time here, so I'd like to have us all wrap it up. I'm sure we're getting a lot of people that are from your channel that are interested to hear you on 5 Idiots Talking Toys. So everybody who's joining us tonight, please subscribe to our channel. We have a new episode released every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can watch it live in a premiere format on YouTube. along with other people and chat live with them. We're on a lot of other outlets as well, Spotify and Apple Podcast. Joey, tell us what is coming up in the very near future on your show. What can people expect to see you? What are you in the hunt for?
All right. So, I mean, this is a scoop for you guys. Nobody's, this is a new case. I've only put it together last week. So this show is going to be coming out where I actually talk about where I got it and putting all my figures in there and things like that. So that show is going to come up pretty soon where you show me building the case and you can actually see what it takes to get this case and put it together in case any of you are interested. I am doing another show where I get the craziest deals of my life, right? Where I had to set aside a budget to say that this only comes around every so often, a deal like this, right? Where these prices, it was probably like pre-pandemic prices that I'm paying for these next two figures, huge figures. So that's coming up too. And I also get something that I've always wanted since I was a kid, and I get it boxed and it's in great condition. So those are the 3 episodes that are coming up. The 2 crazy deals, me putting that case together, and I get something that's completely awesome inside a box. So those are the 3 episodes that are coming up.
Nice.
That's awesome. So we have the scoop on the case. We have the scoop on the case, but then
yeah,
everybody can check out your channel with the new episode coming out to see that process. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And you see me putting it together, like from everything. I open the box, put it together, show you what it takes to get this case, because I really wanted to show my viewers, at least, if you're thinking about getting it, what's everything entailed, what the price is, what's it like getting it international. But a lot of people from the UK saw my show and they're like, oh yeah, I'm getting this case. A lot of people from the US saw this, and even the seller said that they're contacting me because of the show, which is great.
So in other words, I better order mine before your new episode drops.
Yeah. And the cool thing is that I didn't have to wait for this case. He took a lot of orders and he's like, you know what, Joey, I have one in the shop right now that's complete. I'm gonna just send you that one, or else I would have had to wait till like October to get mine. So that was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Joey, I personally want to thank you so much for joining us. This was a great episode. It's great to hear about your journey and just talk Star Wars toys with you. I will look forward to the new episodes that come out. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody check out our episodes each week. John, I'm going to throw it over to you to wrap us up. Anything that you want to share?
No, I just want to say thanks again to Joey for joining us tonight. And thanks, guys, for another week. This is episode 6. And be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for great content every week. So until next time, it's 5 Idiots Talking Toys signing off.